that this is working. Should be. Just check and just put like a comment, say hello or something, just so I can see. We'll see. You see it? Okay, good. Okay, guys. Okay, so I wanted to do this seminar because we've done this for a long time. The amount of conversations I have with people who either start here or used to train one-to-one, it's always the same kind of conversation you have about breakfast with them. And I'm sure this will ring true to all of you. So, the biggest issue with breakfast is that the majority of the breakfast that people eat is a very high carbohydrate-based breakfast, and sometimes a very highly processed food-based breakfast. So put your hand up if this was your typical breakfast for many years. Yeah, so all of you. If I see the front or there or over the back. So the very common thing is either porridge, some sort of toast, or some sort of cereal. It's quick, it's easy, some of them can be quite tasty. But when you break it down, we're going to actually break each one down because these are the three most common ones you get. Porridge. This is the thing, it's not that porridge is necessarily bad, but there's a kind of an overall message I want to get at the back end of this seminar, that I'll come to in a minute. It's not that porridge is necessarily bad, it does have some good nutrients in it, but it is a massively carbohydrate base. If you look at the graph here, it's actually, I think it's 78% carbohydrates. So great if you are going to just go and do a marathon or something like that. You got to remember the carbohydrates, especially when they come from sources like this, it's very similar to, well, it's actually very the same as digesting simple sugars. So your body will digest them exactly the same as sugars, and it will give you a very quick hit of energy. But if you're having a huge bowl of porridge and then you're sitting down at a desk all day, you're not going to use that energy. The energy has got to go somewhere. So it's in your bloodstream, yeah, and I spoke about this on the last seminar about the carbohydrates, if anyone was on that one as well. It's in the bloodstream. If it's not going to get used, it's going to be stored as fat. It's as simple as that. It's got nowhere else to go. So if you have a big carbohydrate meal and then you sit down, you're full of energy, your blood sugars are very high, but it's going to go nowhere. Okay, so this is a big issue. So porridge, 75% carbohydrates, 40% protein, a very small amount of fat in there. Toast, just one slice of standard toast. I think if this was a wholemeal slice as well. 68% carbohydrates and 20% protein. So again, extremely high carbohydrate intake from it. There's not, you're talking 3 grams of protein per slice. If people have two slices, it's not a huge amount of protein at all. But it is majority of carbohydrates. In cornflakes, I couldn't find the same graph of cornflakes. But it's almost, kind of what, 90% carbohydrates, the same for that. I wanted to use cornflakes as an example because a lot of cereals are worse than that, like Frosties. Hopefully no one eats Frosties for breakfast, but they're like cornflakes, covered in sugar. Cornflakes is just a standard cereal and it's good to understand it. So the biggest issue with breakfast is all of them are very high in carbohydrate and very low in protein. Makes sense? Yeah? Put your hand up if you didn't see the carbohydrates seminar last time. Okay, that's not good. So a lot of you saw it. Good. So I'll just reiterate a couple of things off that one. So all of these types of food will, like I said before, get used as a very simple energy source very quickly. Your blood sugars will increase. It's great if you are going to use the energy straight away. Okay, good things for porridge and things like that. But majority of people are going to eat these. Are going to eat this type of food, go and sit in a car, and go and sit at a desk. Majority of the people, I would say, in my experience. So what we've got to remember about metabolism. When we train, we break down muscle fibers. Those muscle fibers then need to be repaired and grow into a bigger muscle, thus increasing your metabolism. So muscle training and doesn't necessarily mean just pumping a weight. Okay, a lot of the training that we do in here does increase muscle mass as well. Anything from the sleds, the prowlers, obviously the repetition-based things, a lot of it does. We don't do a lot of exercise that is just a cardio-based exercise, a rhythmic movement without any resistance. So if you take an elliptical, the elliptical machine where you've got the arms and legs going, there's very little resistance on that, and it is just basic cardio. So get your heart and lungs going correct, yes, but your muscles aren't getting, you can literally do that for 45 minutes and your muscles feel fine, yeah? Imagine trying to do bicep curls for 45 minutes. After a minute, you're kind of done. So when we say resistance-based training, muscle-based training, we do a majority of that stuff here. It is good to have, a little bit of cardio stuff. I like to do certain cardio like the battle ropes, sprints, the bags, things like that. Things that are more fun as well. And the idea is you want to increase the muscle mass. Now, when I use that phrase, a lot of people get scared. They're like, I don't look how something is. Like, you're not going to become a 7-time mystery Olympia accidentally by doing some bicep curls, unfortunately. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. But we want to increase muscle mass. I don't care if you're male, female, young, whatever. You need to be increasing your muscle mass. You need to hold on to that muscle for dear life. There was a good study about longevity of life. It wasn't just about how long you live, but it was also the quality of life that you have. And the biggest factor that they found in that was how much muscle mass you've got on you, male and female. Okay, so the older you get, the harder it is to build muscle, the harder it is to retain the muscle. So it's a battle that gets harder, but it's not a battle that can be, that just gets lost. Okay, fashionably late. Just grab a one of these seats here, or the one over there. This will boost your metabolism. Okay, I was trying to get the picture of the in-body score on this one, but I couldn't find one that was exactly the same as ours when I wrote this at home, it wasn't here. But the number difference between the calories when you sit down and the calories when you're generally moving, this is a good guide of what your metabolism is. Anybody remember what theirs was exactly? No, okay. So a good example is I remember actually when we did coaching day, I had a female whose muscle mass was extremely low. The difference between her sitting down all day and her generally being active was only 250 calories, okay? Had another male who had quite a bit of muscle mass. He wasn't like big, but he was very lean, had a good amount of muscle mass. His difference was 1,200 calories. So his metabolism was so much different to him sitting down and him moving, because he had a lot of muscle mass on him. He used a lot of energy, and used a lot of energy by just generally moving around. So you need to make sure that we're focusing on increasing the metabolism. The normal phrase I use is every pound of muscle you'll put on, you'll burn about an extra 50 calories a day. And when I was researching facts about this was a really interesting one. So muscle burns about 50 times more calories than fat, which when you think about it, that's just insane. 50 times more calories. So when you lose a pound of fat and gain a pound of muscle, don't think of it as a bad thing. You've just literally stuck on another pound of a fat burning, piece of genius really that the body is with the muscle on your body. So we need to make sure that we are body compositioning, not just focusing on shrinking the body down, muscle and fat. The fat is a lot easier to lose when you have the muscle mass. So we'll come back to this slide here. If you are just eating food like this, the protein intake is extremely low. You're talking you're having probably 0 to maybe 10 grams of protein in your breakfast. And as a rule of thumb, this is when you research kind of how much protein you need to take for your, to grow muscle. Tons and tons of research of all different studies come back with this kind of being the optimal. If you're a professional bodybuilder or a professional athlete, you do need more because you're training more, you need to recover, so you need a bigger intake of protein. But for people who are generally active, who train not at a professional level, but at the kind of level what we're doing, should we say, you want around 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight, or 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight. Sometimes this is quite difficult to do, some people find it very easy. Did I give anybody advice on this on coaching day? Have you tracked it yet?
I haven't tracked it, but it is quite hard.
Yeah, but just with food?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is quite difficult to do. And that's being conscious of doing it, I guess. Like you're constantly trying to improve the protein intake in all your meals. It is very difficult to do. So if you are having this, and this, and then you think, right, I need to eat 140 grams of protein a day, you've just wasted one meal with about 3 grams in it. So you're playing catch up all day. So your breakfast is such an important meal to get into, especially the amount of training that we're doing as well. So you want to aim for at least 33% of the meal to be protein. We always say this, with the general kind of nutrition advice that we give. We need to make sure that we're having good amounts of protein, good amounts of fats, and good amounts of good carbohydrates. So make sure that at least 33% of the meal is protein. And things with breakfast, I didn't want to get into, you should eat this, this, and this for breakfast. But all I need you to do is think outside the box for breakfast. And think how much protein you're actually going to have in your breakfast. So if you know you need 140 grams of protein a day, you can eat 3 to 4 meals a day. How much protein do you need to have in that meal? And this is something that you will need to work out. Eggs are great because traditionally we would eat eggs for breakfast as a nation. A lot of people get kind of a bit like, oh my god, I can't eat steak for breakfast. But if you have steak and eggs, and these are just pictures that I like the looks of things that I would eat for breakfast. Has anybody had kind of steaks and general meats for breakfast before? Yeah? Bit weird at first, but then you kind of got used to it, I guess. Yeah? This was served for breakfast somewhere, I definitely had it. Omelettes are extremely simple to do, and you can make thousands of different variations of omelettes. I mean, how many different things can you add into eggs? Can somebody shout me out 5 different omelette recipes now? Dead easy ones. Mushroom spinach. Tuna. What's that? Smoked salmon. Bacon. Done. How easy is that? That's 5 days worth of different omelettes straight away. Okay? Good amount of protein, great amount of fat. Carbohydrates add into the breakfast. Think about it, you can have, mushrooms are good source of carbohydrates, peppers. I like to have some sort of berries with my breakfast as well. So raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, things like that are great to have, really good source of carbohydrate. The porridge one at the bottom is here, because porridge, again, it isn't necessarily that bad, but it's just the protein content isn't hugely high. But a lot of people can make protein porridge. It's not something I've had every day, but it's something that, if you want kind of a bit of a change from traditional type of eggs and meats and things like that, then go for it. Adding whey protein, mixing it with the milk, and then mixing it with the porridge, basically. Really simple recipe, and you can get different flavours of proteins. And then kind of protein breakfast wraps. The Kettlebell Kitchen do a really good one of these. I think this was actually theirs. The tortilla wraps, again, it is a carbohydrate, but if we're filling it to equal out the protein and then the fat intake, then avocados, you can have some scrambled eggs in there, things like that. Tomatoes, things like that. It'd be great. So, can anybody, off that type of theory of I'm including protein in the breakfast, I'm including a good carbohydrate, I'm including a good fat, give me some things that they've done for breakfast since joining here.
I tend to do things like smoked salmon, scrambled egg, avocado, and then because you said about eating more sort of greens, and now I've been having disgusting, but if we've got like broccoli, green beans, anything like that left at night, have them for breakfast as well now.
Good, excellent.
I have done natural light yogurt with sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, and loads of berries.
Do you like seeds?
Yeah.
I would check the protein content in there. There'll be quite a bit, but I don't know how much there would be.
It's enough.
Yeah, I think it probably would be enough, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
A kidney filling boiled egg on a slice of wholemeal toast.
Yeah, good.
I'm a bit shocked though because I've just googled how many grams of protein are in a large boiled egg, and I thought it was going to be way more, and it's only 6 grams.
Depends, that's a small egg, I would say.
Well, even so, in my head, I just thought it'd be a lot more. So when I was thinking about that target amount, it's
hard to do.
Isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah. Very difficult to do. If you can't, I said this to every person I give that type of advice, if you can't hit it with the food, you can supplement with protein. But you need to find a protein that works well with your digestion. There's tons of different types of protein in there. The main one is whey, okay, it's kind of made from milk, it's made from milk. Beef proteins sounds weird, it doesn't taste like beef, it's not like you're drinking a steak, it just tastes like any other type of protein. There's plant-based proteins, but you want to avoid the soy-based one, it's very estrogenic. There's tons of different types out there. You can get egg-based proteins as well. But what I would do is, let's say whey's probably the cheapest and the most popular. Have a scoop of whey with some water and then see how your digestion feels in the next half an hour. If you're fine with it, then you're okay with whey protein. A lot of people do get a lot of bloat from whey protein. If you do, I would try another one. Try a plant-based protein or the beef-based protein. Okay, but
Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, again, I would check on MyFitnessPal with the amount of meat.
Isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of calories in. If you have the nuts and things, there's a lot of calories in them as well. But things like turkey, tuna, and things like that, they're very low in calories and very high in protein. I think I'm pretty sure turkey's the highest thing pound of protein. Per gram, yeah.
Crab's really high in protein, isn't it?
Crab, yeah.
It's not ideal for breakfast. Though.
Yeah. Let's see if they're alive.
Cottage cheese as well. Cottage cheese is high in protein.
Yeah.
Low in calories.
Good. So, a few ideas there. But once you do that, you need to remember this. So if you change, let's say if you did just eat toast for breakfast every day for the last couple of years, and then you did change it to something that we recommended tonight, you're not just running off sugar first thing. So you're not just getting up, having a kick of sugar, going to work or sitting down, and then you kind of get that low, about 11 o'clock in the morning, you get kind of that Lenzers and all that stuff. That's because everyone eats very similar in the UK. They get a sugar drop then. You don't get that. If you eat a meal like that, your blood sugar should stay very level because they're not spiking, they're not going to drop because they're not going up and down. You'll find that generally when you eat protein, it takes quite a long while to digest it. So if you're having something like a steak for breakfast, it does take quite a while to digest that type of food, so you don't get hungry straight away as well. You tend, I think you all know this, when you have a good amount of protein, you do feel full for longer. I know M&S did a marketing campaign on that ages ago, but it is true. In general, you're just eating real food, so eating foods that will take some time to digest is a good thing, and you've got a lot less chance of snacking. You know, I'm a big fan of having a decent meal, then giving it a gap 4 to 6 hours until you have the next meal. 4 to 6 hours and then the next meal. The idea is you want to feed your body nutritionally, so give it all the stuff that it needs, not just for energy, because you've got unlimited energy under your skin, under your fat, for your fat cells. Give it all the nutrients it needs to repair, to grow, to control the immune system, etc. Another thing about the immune system, the immune system to run properly needs at least 80 grams of protein today on an average sized person. At least 80 grams to run. So if you get ill a lot of it is to do with low protein intake. So, it's your health as well on that. What was I going to? Yeah, so give your body sufficient nutrients to grow and function properly, and you recover from your training better. So like I said, when you go and train, you're breaking down the muscle fibers. When you come in to your academy, you actually walk out in a worse state than when you walked in at. I know sometimes you walk out as well, but you do. You walk out with less muscle on you, technically. So you need to go then away, and that's when the magic happens. That's when you grow. That's when you repair the muscles, recover, and you come back stronger. And then that increases your metabolism, and then that whole process gets a lot easier. So if you find someone who does have not a lot of muscle on them at all, they really struggle to kind of get their metabolism up. So they find it very easy to put on fat. Have you ever heard of like the skinny fat people? Yeah, that's kind of like a phrase that's been thrown around for a while now. Because they've got no muscle on them, so as soon as they start overeating it, they put on fat very quickly. You find that people who've been overweight for a while, they actually do have quite a good muscle mass because they needed the muscle mass to carry the weight around. Okay, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. You've got people who are very lean, they will struggle to put on muscle, but they're already in a lighter weight. But the people who've been overweight, they've actually got a good amount of muscle mass, so they do find it generally easier to lose the fat because they've got a good metabolism if you just clean up their eating and exercise. It is very surprising, especially when we do the in-body scans, how much muscle mass people have on them. What I kind of finish on with this is the further away we move from nature, the fatter we become. And we are the only species in the world that instinctively don't know what to eat. So if we removed all supermarkets, all access to ready-made food, and we dropped us off on a replica of Earth that wasn't inhabited by man, we wouldn't know what to eat. We wouldn't instinctively know what to eat. Where every other animal and every other species on the planet doesn't have an obesity issue at all, not one, unless they've been fed by man. So every other animal can control the metabolism, control the weight by what they're designed to eat naturally. We're the only species that's overweight on Earth, put it that way. Which is a bit crazy when you think about it. We're the most intelligent species, but yet we're the most unhealthy. So remember when you are eating food, try to eat as per that rule as possible, as nature intended us to eat. So natural foods. We are hunter-gatherers. We would go out and probably kill something or fish for something. We would pick things off trees. We would pull things from the ground, and that's the type of food that we would eat the next day. We would eat the leftover boar that was cooking or whatever the night before. We would eat the fats. We would eat the proteins off that. We'd probably eat the berries, especially if it was summer. We'd eat a lot of fruit in the summer. We would eat things that were on the ground, things that were in trees, etc., etc. So just make sure that you stick to those rules, and you won't go far. So just to reiterate, if you are having these, try and make sure they're part of a balance. So things on toast isn't as bad as just having the toast, especially if you're keeping within your calorie intake. Cereals, I'm not a fan at all of cereals, to be honest with you. Again, porridge isn't that bad, it's a very quick energy source, you can add some proteins to it. Remember your metabolism. Your metabolism is kind of your fat burning machine. Muscle burns about 50 times more calories than fat, so when you put on muscle, it is a blessing. It is the best thing the result that you can get. Okay, just think even if it takes you a year to lose 5 pounds of fat and gain 5 pounds of muscle, okay, it's still difficult to do, but it's very realistic. It's you're in such a better position. You're in such a better position. When you have that bad weekend, you don't put on anywhere near as much, near as much fat. Variations for breakfast, make sure you know at least 33% of the meal is protein. Protein comes from the Greek word of most importance, so it is the most important macro that we have. The only carbohydrate we need to survive is fibre. We actually don't need the simple sugars to survive. We can survive very well without them. Fats, there's lots of different fats. Fats is a very complicated macronutrient, to be honest. I'll probably do a whole seminar on that. But we do need good fats to survive. It's very good for the heart, for the brain, etc. Okay, this is normally the longest bit, the questions at the end. It's 45 minutes last time. Questions?
Matt, what are your really high fibre?
Sorry?
High
Fibre.
cereal breakfast.
No, it's a complete myth that cereals are high in fibre. Fibres come from mainly green vegetables. You want a natural fibre that's alive and goes into your gut as natural as possible, should we say. So carbohydrates are your best source of fibre from a natural source of some vegetables, basically, fruits and vegetables. It was a marketing ploy that they spray fibre on all bran, wherever it is. But yeah, it's not a good source of natural fibre. Your fruits and vegetables are your source of fibre. Bit late. Just finished it out. Any more questions? That I can explain it that well, that you all fully understand now, metabolism and breakfast and things. If I did, then...
Training.
Yes?
So depending on what time you train on an empty stomach or I eat protein afterwards.
Pros and cons to both, I would say. I like training on an empty stomach. I think it's fine as long as I'm hydrated. Hydration is the most important thing with training. I trained Wednesday, I didn't eat until about 3 hours later. I had a protein shake after my training, but I didn't eat till about 3 and I felt fine. I felt fine on it. Some people don't, but I would listen to your body. The thing is, it's your blood sugars that will drop with the training. So if you find that you're training a bit lightheaded and things like that, it's your body's not fully in control of the blood sugars with vigorous exercise for one reason or another. So if you do need, say, a banana or something before training, if you're training early, that's fine. You're going to use that instantly. It's going to be in your bloodstream pretty quick. But I would definitely eat straight after your training. You want to try and get as much protein as you can as soon as you can after the training. If you can go home and have a meal, great. If you're not, if you're stuck somewhere in the office, then supplementing with a shake it'd be good as well. Any questions?
Do you recommend a protein that's not sweet? Because I really struggle with protein powders and they're just too sweet.
Yeah, you can get them flavoured. My protein do an unflavoured one. Doesn't taste of anything, to be honest with you. It just tastes a bit like I would say closer to vanilla than anything, but it doesn't taste of vanilla, it just tastes of nothing.
So it's not sweet.
And this just tastes of nothing, it just tastes like a powder. Yeah. So nothing in
The
it.
flavoured protein shakes have got a lot of sugar in them.
Well, yeah, so my advice on protein shakes is I don't know, there's so many different brands out there. The majority of them are made the same way. The way whey protein is made is very good, it's the same way. You need to find one that's as low in sugar as possible, like less than a gram, so it's not flavoured with high sugar, and it's a low in calorie one. You shouldn't be really over about 130 calories per 25 grams of protein in whey. If it's anything above that, it's got more bulking agents in, so it's designed more for kind of people who want it like a jacked and put on size. So, 120, 130 calories for one big scoop, 25 grams in water, is about where you want to be. So if you check the calorie intake per scoop, per 25 grams, and check the sugar content, you're not going to go far wrong with it. But there's so many different brands out there, like it's impossible to keep on top of who's the best quality, and you don't know, it's all marketing. It's all marketing at the end of the day. You can pay 50 quid for a tub and 20 quid for a tub. It could be made in the exact same factory. For all you know, it's a very hard field to understand fully with how well they market it all. Yeah. But look at the ingredients. Look at the ingredients as well. It should be, 95% whey protein, whey isolate, it'll say, and then you don't want to go far wrong with that. Yeah. But it's not the be all and end all. But if you are below muscle mass and you can't hit the protein intake with your food, that's when you would recommend it. I'd definitely recommend it, yeah. It's not a magic pill, it's not going to solve all your issues, but it'll definitely help, yeah.
Anybody get any recipes for breakfast that you don't have to cook?
For what, sorry?
That you don't have to cook. The idea of,
Smoked salmon avocado.
Yeah.
Boiled eggs.
well,
Yeah,
I
smoked
just
You can
Yeah.
boil a whole pot.
That's the thing when people say, I didn't want to go into you should eat this and this for breakfast. I think it's very individual what you do eat. And in my time, if I've told somebody to eat, say, scrambled eggs and salmon for breakfast every day, we'll do it for 2 or 3 days and we'll get bored. I'd rather give you the kind of the more principle to work around than a eat this and this and this. Because you could literally Google egg recipes, right? And you'll come up with tons of different ones, or breakfast recipes, high protein breakfast recipes. Go on YouTube, go on Google, go on our app. There's tons of software, there's tons of recipes on our app as well. You know, so I'd rather you go down that route and give yourself tons of ideas. Oh, this looks quite nice. I'll make that. And then then maybe if you try one new recipe a week, you're not going to go far wrong. My favourite recipe for breakfast was scrambled eggs, smoked salmon, and raspberries. That is just the fat literally drops off it when I'm doing that properly. You know, when I trained for boxing, I was losing about 1 kilo of fat a week. It was dropping off me very quickly, especially towards the end. And that was what I was having every day.
What else did you eat then? Through the day?
Trying to think.
I don't like trying.
I eat that first. Yeah, and then my meal, depending on what training I was doing, I'd eat a meat and a rice dish. Pre or post training, depending if it was sparring or not. If it was, I know it was a session that wasn't heavy, I would do vegetables and protein, with a bit of fats in. And then post training, I would do the rice and the protein. If it was a heavy session, I'd do the rice and protein either side. But I'm talking like extremely difficult training for like 2 hours. So I needed to be full.
Not brown rice?
No, it's not white. Yeah. There's not. I've read 2 different things about white and brown.
Right.
Brown it's very difficult for the body to digest brown rice. And the principle of the rice for me had been filling my glycogen stores up for the training. So making sure my glycogen stores are full so I can give it 100% and then recovering the glycogen stores after the training as well. But that's a different type of training. That was for performance, not for aesthetics or for fat loss, really, for example. I mean, I did lose fat, but that was the majority of the training, being in calorie deficit, basically. Yeah, I was in about 2,200 a day when I was boxing, so it's still quite a lot. It's still quite a lot, but yeah, it worked very well. I made my weight quite easily. The other guy was 5 kilos overweight. It's like, you didn't have to do that much weight loss, but yeah.
Can I ask what fat you put the scrambled egg in?
Sorry?
What fats do you use to put?
I use butter.
Yeah.
The thing is, oil, there's quite a lot of calories in oil as well. You can very easily do a good 200 calories just by cooking in the oil if you're not really careful. Coconut is okay. Everything tastes of coconut. I'll stick with it, to be honest. I overdid it. I've not had it since. I cooked everything in it for about 2 or 3 months, and everything tasted of coconut. And then I can't stand the taste of coconut anymore.
Yeah, I try to vary. I know she.
Yeah, you got to vary. I think there's variations of food as well, because I say if I had eggs or a same omelette constantly all the time, I would get sick and I would never eat that meal again. We're all the same. We all do that. So this is why I'm saying different variations of different meals, different variations of vegetables, and variations of protein. You got to keep it varied. Every single meal, you can vary it as well. So don't eat the same thing all the time. Your body will actually build a tolerance to it as well. If you had just eggs every day for the rest of your life, you'd probably get a tolerance to eggs and tolerance to eggs. So.
How about all this seasonal fruits and that sort of like apricots and cherries and nectarines and peaches?
Fruit, we were designed to eat fruit seasonally. It would only grow in the summer. Okay, so the idea of fruit as well is it's a very quick energy source. It tastes nice. It's full of antioxidants, which just helps us protect from the sun. And it would also lay down fat stores for the winter. So we'd eat a lot of fruit. We'd eat tons and tons and tons of it because it tastes so sweet to us as well as we evolve. And because we don't have McDonald's around the corner, the fruit would be like eating chocolate probably now. That's what it is. That's kind of what it would taste on our taste buds. And the idea is you lay down a few fat stores for the winter to get you through. And the antioxidants in the fruit is the best protection from the sun, from skin cancer. Yeah. Because that's what we're designed to do. We're designed to just gorge on fruit.
It's not nice. Fruit isn't nice in the winter, is it? that's why I stopped all around with it. Can't
Yeah.
stop eating it.
Yeah.
Don't have anything else sweet, like,
Yeah, but remember that it is just a sugar you're having. It's got good nutrients in it, but it's just a sugar.
what if you eat it with a piece of cheese or nuts?
So makes it
Sure,
sugar.
as bad as it aggravates.
Again, I would say with fruits, make it a balanced meal.
Right,
You know, so like I said, I'm a big fan of having a meal, having a gap, having a meal, having a big gap.
right.
You know, it's if you eat all day, you're gonna gain weight, no doubt about it. Just constantly doing this, constantly. You know, it's a recipe for disaster. Eat a meal, break. Yes.
I just thought fruit was one that's quite good that you don't have to cook. That I quite like, you know, the parma ham and melon together. Really.
Oh yeah, good. So I'd say with breakfast, I'm never a fan of you should try and eat this and this, but you need to spend you need to think about your food as you're training and go and experiment with different meals and figure out how much calories, how much fat, how much protein, etc. is in that meal. MyFitnessPal is the simplest way to do it. Scan all the ingredients, you know, add it all up for you, and then start cooking different meals. But I think the majority of this seminar is I probably must have had hundreds and hundreds of conversations with people who still just eat the carbohydrate-based breakfast, and the results are very, very still. You know, it's very difficult for them to start losing fat and gaining muscle, because that's ideally what you want to do. It's metabolism. We need to drop the fat, we need to build muscle. On every single person who walks through the door, I don't care how much weight you need to lose, it's the same principle with every single person. You're going to be in a better place. Your metabolism is going to be a lot higher, you're going to be stronger, your body's going to work better. Longevity, like I said at the beginning, it's the biggest indicator of how long you're going to live and how healthy you are when you live, is how much muscle mass you've got on you. So you've got to hold on to it for dear life, especially as you get older, it gets harder and harder. So got to be really on it with it.
Yeah, after you taught me, I switched to extra breakfast mostly. I went from losing not a lot to losing a pound a day for 2
Yeah.
weeks.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, you train hard, so you recover quicker. You know, you definitely would have built muscle mass from day one when you walked in the door, so you've lost nearly 70 pounds or something like that in
65.
65 pounds, yeah. So, you know, proof's in the pudding. It'd be interesting to if I could write down everybody's breakfast who I've had conversations like this with, and the ones who do great results, they'll always say something like that. I change my breakfast to this and this, and the weight just drops off on me. It really is simple. You know, you're not. The thing is, when you eat those high carbohydrate breakfasts, your insulin goes up very high. As soon as your insulin's over a certain point, it's impossible for the body to release any fat stores. You can't do it. Okay, you need to bring the insulin down to a certain point, and then the glucagon takes over, and then you can start using your fat as energy. That's the whole point of fat stores. It's an energy source. We're meant to use it. But if you're eating stuff all day that's raising your insulin constantly all day, and if you're just generally eating all day, you're never going to access the fat stores. So
I'm all right through the day, it's at night, and then at night I get a really sweet tooth and I'm terrible.
yeah,
I'll eat a scone at night. I'll do really, really well, and then I'll go, oh, and just night times and night.
try eating a higher protein evening. You know, get it slowly digest. That might help. Just see what's in it.
Yeah.
You know, steaks, chicken, turkey, things like
You do
that.
have protein from your tea, but then
Yeah.
it's just later on. Just like a devil in a couple of times.
Maybe say something simple like a shake, like a 1 gram of protein,
Yeah,
chocolate protein with
yeah.
some water.
Yeah.
I brought one in with me, something I actually still have. I had it I think it was about 6 o'clock I had it. Just because I knew I was having kind of 2 o'clock till I get home without eating.
Right. Will that
So-
get rid of your sweet tooth if you've got one?
Majority, yeah. Brushing your teeth is actually the best way to get rid of the sweet tooth.
Is it?
Yeah. But it does work as well.
A scone.
Yeah.
Brush your teeth.
Yeah, brush your teeth. I don't know why exactly, but it does work. Yeah. Brushing your teeth. Any more questions about breakfast?
Matt, what's your opinion on just having one meal a day?
It's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. There's people who get very good results on 1 meal a day, intermittent fasting. There's people who just fall to bits on 1 meal a day. I think it's very difficult to get all your nutrients in that one meal. You need to be a hell of a meal. I for a long time only ate twice a day, and I felt quite good on that personally. But I wouldn't like to do it once a day for me. I think I'd get the jitters too much, and I think my training wouldn't be as difficult. So it's hard. I'm not against it, but I'm not all for it. But it's not advice I would give generally to anybody. I think 3 meals spread out is a great way to start. Oh my god, that was a ghost. I was like, I'm sure I heard something there. Anyway, I thought I was in here on my own the other day, and I heard something in that room. So I'm just a little bit on. Have you ever done that? Yeah. I swear there was someone in there, wasn't there? And so where were we? One meal a day. Yeah. So when you're fasting, like so when you wake up from your sleep, you fasted for probably around 8 hours. Your body just runs off fat stores at that point, you know, which is great. But if you go and do vigorous training at any point, you need to recover. You need to eat after that. So it depends. If it's something you've done for a long time, you feel good on it, and your muscles increasing, your body fat's decreasing, then I'm not against it. I would, if it's not, if you are going backwards or you're not putting any muscle, then I would definitely start breaking that up into a little bit. It'd be very difficult for you to get enough protein in that one meal, is what I'm saying. You probably need a good 200 grams, I would say, a day. You know, and it'd be difficult. You wouldn't do it in one meal. It'd be a hell of a meal, it'd be like this. So, yeah. Any other questions? Did that make... Oh, go on.
Well, there are times in the day when I just need a snack. I get tired there, I feel myself. What's the best thing to snack on that's not too high in calorie but isn't too high in sugar?
I would have a good meal. So what you're saying when you feel tired like this, your body's very struggling to release the fat stores. Okay, so the healthier you live in your kidneys are, your pancreas, the easier that happens. So generally being healthy, you shouldn't get those kind of ups and downs. I would address what you ate the meal before, because sometimes what you eat then can affect how you feel a few hours later, or it will. So when that happens, I just make a note and say, what did I eat in that meal? And I would find 9 times out of 10 there's something in that meal that either you've got a tolerance to, or it was too high in something or too low in something. I would do that, yeah. Snacking, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan at all of it. I think it's a bad habit to get into. I would get into habits of a good balanced meal with everything that you need in it. Break. Let your body run off the fat stores then. And then all that nutrients you've got is going to go to all the other stuff you need. Because you've got to remember, it's not just food in energy. You've got to remember, you've got your immune system, you've got your cell growth, your hair growth, you've got your recovery, your muscle growth. All these things, that's what your nutrients, does. And then we need to use the fat stores when we need to as energy as well. We'll store some extra time, that's fine. That's what we're designed to do. But we also need to use it, especially if you do have more fat to lose as well. So it depends obviously where you're at on your journey. Right guys, one more question I'll take. One none. Does that make sense? Okay, so I wanted to write that off the back end of the majority of the conversations I had with people when they first walked through the door. That's what. Some of you have been coming for a long time, some of you knew this years ago, I know that, okay? But it is the most common thing, and I think when people understand that principle of it, that you need to understand that your metabolism is your key to your results. And if you're eating that, you're not gonna gain any muscle at all. Really, it's gonna be very difficult to do. So, right, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And I think some of you are going next door. Next door, yeah. That's it. Hope you enjoyed that on Facebook. I'll do another video of this tomorrow, recording all this, so you'll see it a bit clearer than what it was tonight. Oh, wait a minute, it's still going. How do I turn it off? We'll finish, there we go. In the hallway, please.